Do you need this, Mrs. Kemp?
Hello everybody, this is Mad Matt. Why is my mouth not moving? Because this effect takes too damn long in post. You're watching Movie Mattness. Eat, Pray, Love was written by this delectable little dish, Elizabeth Gilbert. The book is Ms. Gilbert's memoir of her travels to Italy, where she ate, India, where she prayed, and Bali, where she loved. I know that sounds like an oversimplification, and it is. There's a lot more to the story, enough to make it so popular in printed form that Hollywood made a movie about it. In the movie, Liz is played by Julia Roberts, and her transformative journey begins with her marriage to Stephen, played by Billy Crudup, a good and decent fellow whose only crime is that he adores Liz and wants to have children with her. Liz doesn't want to have children, so she divorces Stephen. She then takes up with a young actor named David, played by James Franco, a charming, semi-spiritual guy whose only crime is that he adores Liz and wants to spend his life with her. Liz doesn't want a man to validate her life, so she leaves David. Now, some of this sort of makes sense. The woman doesn't want her life defined by her relationships. I get that. But here's where it gets tricky. These are good guys, wholly devoted to her, and she treats them like disposable commodities. I'm sure there's more to the story, but the film doesn't offer it. And if you take only the film at face value without having read the novel or been granted insight into the real Liz Gilbert, her character comes off as the most selfish and inconsiderate person in the story. And she's the protagonist. Next, Liz decides she needs to get out of the country to find herself. What Liz actually says in the film is that she wants to go somewhere where she can marvel at something. I guess there's nothing all that marvelous this side of the pond, which is why she has to update her passport. Now, part of me wants to get this. After all, I came in on the tail end of that generation that wandered the earth trying to find itself. But then I learned a sage piece of advice from a Buddhist in Alcoholics Anonymous. The Zen you find on the mountain is the Zen you take up there with you. Or as my father used to say, if you want to find yourself, look in a mirror. Now, I'm all for travel. I've done a bit myself. But the movie tries to sell Liz's travelogue as some sort of vision quest, and that's simply wrong. For one thing, the real Liz got a $100,000 book advance to pay for this trip. That alone makes the whole conceit of the story false. If this trip is truly a vision quest, the book advance is like paying someone up front to go to church. And then there's the quest itself. What is it supposed to mean? I suppose one could argue that the words eat, pray, love chart some sort of arc of transcendence. In Italy, Liz eats to the point of intemperance, playing her part in Western culture's rampant consumerism. But in India, she lives in an ashram and makes a half-hearted attempt to let go of selfish desires and learn how to pray. We expect transformation here, so that by the time we get to Bali, we will see an enlightened Liz, ready to give of herself with love. But what we see in Bali instead is a hookup with hunky Felipe, played by Javier Bardem, the third man to bed Liz in the film. Apparently, this is the authentic love she was looking for all along. But here's the deal. For this formula to work, the love she finds at the end of the rainbow needs to be transcendent and selfless. Authentic love involves sacrifice and lots of hard work. Trust me on this, I've been married for 15 years. What love has with Felipe is romance, infatuation, and sex. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but the whole idea behind eat, then pray, then love, is that one makes a transition from a consumerist state to one of pure and unconditional love. The Liz in the movie hasn't done that. She's simply replaced one man with another. Do you see how the film's message is one big fail? Liz flees to other countries to find herself because she doesn't want to be defined by the man she is with. But what does she find instead? A man to be with. Not some enlightened man who teaches her the meaning of love, but a movie star hunk who's a great kisser and just happens to live on the shores of Bali. That's not authentic love. Authentic love between two people is found only after years in the trenches together, which is what Liz should have been doing with the first guy she was with. Now granted, I haven't read the book, and I know little about the real Liz Gilbert's life. This review is not about judging Ms. Gilbert, but about critiquing the film based on her memoir. And going strictly on what this film gives me, I could not recommend it, even as a rainy day chick flick. That said, I did find one thing to like about the film. Richard Jenkins plays a divorcee from Texas who meets and befriends Liz in the ashram in India. His paternal friendship with Liz is genuine, and their scenes together represent the best writing and acting in the movie. If you must give this movie a look, skip ahead to his scenes and forget the rest. But don't go out of your way just for Richard Jenkins. As one of the best character actors working today, you can find him in many other films that are much better than this. Mad Matt says, go check out Dear John, but you can skip Eat, Pray, Love.
All right, we've seen what you can do with a boy. How are you when they come a little bigger?